These are lollipop. Wait,
Can I do it? And then, do you know what? And the most important thing.
Wow, that's fantastic. Được, 我可以买吗？
可以可以。
可以买个。
要多少包？
给我沙可以买一个。
可以可以。
这个是，什么？
西王粥。
西王粥啊，对对。还有那个
那个没有，那个没有加没有。
啊？
过年面冷清了。
OK，
不要近。
OK，好了好了。
这个看就这个病
哦。
整个市场快要了。
OK，
全部完蛋了。
好了。
不敢出去，10块6加4，太多了。
对了 ，OK， 谢谢啊。
Thank you。最近很冷清了，哪里有进
？OK。Okay, hi. You're watching Gregsby Eats, and we're at Chinatown complex to try Panti cooked food, which is located in the green section of this massive hawker center. Panti cooked food sells handmade traditional Cantonese dessert snacks that are very hard to find anywhere. Here you can find unusual desserts which you've probably never heard of, like Sar Kay Ma, honey twists, and sesame egg split. And the stall is literally the last of its kind in Singapore. It's roughly 9 a.m. or so. It's on a Friday. But when I went to the stall, they were only selling 2 of the 3 desserts. So they only sold the sesame egg split and they sold the Sar Kay Ma. There's none of the honey twists. So I'll need to come back here one more time just to try the honey twists. Now, one thing about handmade Sar Kay Ma, okay? It can actually still be found in Hong Kong. But for Singapore itself, Panti cooked food is the last stall that still hand makes it. In fact, the snack as a whole is vanishing to the point where even the factory-made ones are not easy to find in Singapore supermarkets. So a little bit about the stall. It's been in existence since the 1940s. The stall is run by a 62-year-old, I think he's about 63 this year, 63-year-old bachelor Mr. Poon Sam Hei, who took over the business from his father, who migrated from Guangdong, China. The stall was located at the intersection of Sago Street and South Bridge Road before moving into Chinatown complex in 1983. Poon has been single-handedly running it for almost 50 years now, despite having a deformity on his left hand. There'll be no one taking over Mr. Poon once he retires. So, first tasting the most famous of the Chinese sweet snacks, which is the Sar Kay Ma, Sachima, honey crackers. And so I've already opened up the 2 snacks and I've taken footage and all. So this is what it looks like. There you go. It looks like, yep. It comes in 2, 4 and 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. And the 5-piece one costs $6. 2 pieces it is $2.60 and 4 pieces it is $4.80. So it's literally translated as cut Sar Kay and arranged Ma. The name refers to the making process of the snack and is popular in Hong Kong. And it's commonly eaten by superstitious punters who bet on horse racing and so on and so forth, who believe that it brought good luck. So it's made with egg dough strips, which are deep fried glazed with malt sugar, maltose and sugar, compacted, then cut into bite-sized blocks. So trying a piece. It seems quite crumbly, held together very, very loosely by the sugar. Wonderful. So it's got a slight crispy, crumbly texture which leans towards the softer side. Taste-wise, it's got a subtle deep fried oil richness, slight egg flavour, very slight, and a slight lemony sweetness. Now to show you the big difference between factory and handmade Sar Kay Ma, I bought a pack from the supermarket. I've already opened it. It looks like this. Here we go. And I'm going to break off a piece just to see what it tastes like. I've already tasted it before, but it's been a while. Okay, it's a bit harder. So trying the factory Sar Kay Ma. Okay, right. It has that same maltose sugar taste. Perhaps it is a bit stronger, I could be wrong. But it is definitely drier. It's harder in texture and it's lacking moisture. It's not as much of an oil-rich flavor. Neither does it have that slight egg richness inside. So to show you what it looks like really side by side. See the difference? There's a little bit of salt in the factory-made sake ma, which actually makes the taste a bit nicer, frankly. Punchy's one, it wins purely because it's freshly made, so it has got kind of like a fresher taste in a way. And because of that oil richness and the texture which is more crumbly rather than hard, you know. That being said, right, the factory sake ma, it isn't bad. It's actually nice in its own right, because it's cheaper. This costs $2, this costs $6. So I guess it's really up to you, you know, how much of a premium do you put on artisanal handmade snacks? We often like to romanticize the fact that it's handmade, the last in Singapore, and so on and so forth. But handmade and artisanal doesn't necessarily equate to a better tasting snack. In this case, each has its merits. Now trying the sesame egg split. It's known by many names: auspicious smiling balls, 笑口罩. It's kind of like a muffin-shaped fried biscuit, and it's topped with sesame seeds. Apparently, it's usually eaten during Chinese New Year. It's got a hard, crumbly texture, and it's a light sweetness, as it is not doused in any syrup at all, unlike the honey twists or the sake ma. It's drier than the sake ma, only just a bit, but it's not dry because it still has that oil richness. So even though it's fried, right, it doesn't actually leave any oil residue or so. So this costs $4 for 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as I said, I'll make one more trip back to Punchy Cooked Food just to try the honey twists, because that snack has got a really nice crunchy texture to it. And I'm going to keep these. These are for my kids. And I'm even going to pack the factory made ones because they're actually pretty nice. Okay, all packed. And I will see you in a week. Bye-bye. Okay, this is a bit of a last minute vlog. I went to Chinatown complex checking on Punchy Cooked Food because it has been about a month and the uncle hasn't cooked the honey twists at all. So I popped around today and then he said that, oh, by the way, I'm cooking it today. I was like, okay, alright. You know, I didn't have any filming equipment, so I'm just using my phone right now. Yeah, so this is it. That's what it looks like. It's about 160 each or so. 160, 190, around there. So it's like a thin pieces of egg dough, which they flatten out. It's very, very thin. It's 2 pieces which they fold into one knot, and they deep fry it, and then they put malt sugar, malt syrup. Same like the sake ma. He doesn't make it very often because it doesn't last as long as a sake ma. So when he does make it, it is like once in a blue moon. I waited close to 2 months and then he actually made a batch. So yeah, trying a piece. It's the same syrup as the sake ma, and the texture is also similar as well. Maybe it's a bit crunchier. It's also a bit sweeter as well. And the sweetness, it's got that malt sweetness along with a bit of tanginess to it. Very, very slight. I forgot to mention that there's less of a savory salt taste in the dough and also less of an oil richness for some reason as compared to the sake ma. The lack of salt and the lack of an oil richness is something which you'll either love or hate. It also likely explains why the sake ma is more popular because it is, well, it's just tastier. Out of the 3, this is the sweetest of the lot. It is also a bit crunchy as well. So it depends on what you like. So apparently these honey twists are meant to be eaten during Chinese New Year. Or at least that was what I was told. I don't know anyone who actually eats them, but you know, there you go. So if you do pass his stall and then you do see this, right, I would suggest that you actually buy a pack or so because it is very hard to come by. Handmade honey twists. So that was a look at Punchy Cooked Food, which sells handmade sake ma and other rare traditional Chinese sweet snacks in Singapore. Probably the only one which hand makes it in Singapore. It is definitely worth trying it at least once or twice in your life to know what these handmade desserts actually taste like. Would I travel half across Singapore to actually eat at this stall? It's the only one in Singapore which actually sells it, so I suppose the big question is whether you would buy this on a regular basis, and I don't know. People have actually moved on when it comes to desserts, especially when it comes to Chinese desserts. There are many other Chinese desserts which people like. It's just that this is kind of like fallen out of favor because it is kind of like a very old snack, I suppose. It's no longer fashionable. I have given it to my kids and they love it, surprisingly. Okay, but there is a disclaimer. They love it, but if you put ice cream in front of them, right, they will choose the ice cream instead. So, it's kind of like a losing battle. So whatever the case, I don't think that this snack will actually last more than 10 years, 20 years in Singapore. You can probably buy supermarket versions, but that's about it lah. I don't think that people will actually flock to the stall just to have this. It's not going to be a new trend where everybody starts buying it or anything like that. So all I would say is, it's worth trying at least once in your life. If you're in the area, definitely buy a bag if you haven't had it before, and enjoy it while it lasts. So thanks for watching another episode of Great Speed Eats, where eat through the whole of Singapore. If you enjoyed this episode, give a like, subscribe, comment below and share this video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.